All right, I switched my push to talk, although I have to change it again.
Okay. Okay. Yeesh. Hello, everybody. Welcome to ESSCS Eastern State Stock Car Series. There we go. My name is Jonathan Salas. I'm here joined today by Mr. Dan Wilkins. We are covering race 7 of 14 here. We're at Daytona Super Speedway for the Beach Bash 150. One of few crown jewel races for Essex, the others being Indianapolis, Iowa, and Michigan. Daytona, the Beach Bash 150. It's going to be a heck of a race here. Excited. We got, I believe, 29 or 30 drivers tonight. So it's going to be a great race. Got some great racing. And we're just about to head to race in just a moment here.
You know, Jonathan, going into this race, this has been a season in Essex filled with domination. Dunlop-Pratt has won 4 of the first 6 races. Jack Merkel has picked up the pace with the other 2, winning the season opener at Michigan and then picking up a road course win at Barber. Well, the other 4, Vermont, Thompson, Rockingham, and Atlanta, have all been in the hands of Mr. LaPrade. So we'll see if on a super speedway, the first true super speedway of the year, if that luck will change today. They still, I mean, they don't have Talladega on the schedule. They don't have Ontario on the schedule where you can go flat out 205 in the corner. So I'm excited to see how this works out for them, and we'll see if we get a wild card in the race tonight.
Definitely. I'm excited because super speedways are the one place where you're never really safe. You can always get caught up in a wreck that's never your fault. So it's always a bit of an interesting one to go to super speedway, and especially when you have people having dominant seasons like the 74 and 24 cars. I raced with them earlier in the season in Michigan. I ended up second to Merkel, and I've just seen these guys all. I think I've done 2 races, and the 2 that I've done have been dominated by those 2. So,
well, shall we introduce who's going to be leading the way tonight?
absolutely.
In the first row tonight for the Essex season 4, race 7, it's going to be Friesen Rodriguez in the front pole with Cole Mather to his side. Second row will bring us Dakota Vega and Nick Gunther, the season 1 champion. Then you've got league owner Connor Spradling and Bryson Miller of North Carolina in row 3. Row 4 brings us Jack Merkel and Braden Corioth of southwestern Florida. Then in row 5, you've got yourself Cale Tescard Jr. and William Green. After that, hold on, everything messed up there. All right, so they're gonna, well, let's just say the officiating crew is kind enough to give us enough time to rearrange the starting order. In row 6 is going to be Cale Tescard Jr. and William Green. Row 7 doesn't have anybody loaded in yet except for Dan Silla on the outside. And finally coming in there is Dunlop-Pratt, again, starting in that 13th position with 4 wins under his belt this year. Behind him in row 8 is going to be Cameron Jamison in the 31, an unusual number for the veteran, and then Miles Fox after him. Row 9 is a lonesome one with Winty Wolf in the 3. Row 10 brings us Vincente Adriano and Sebastian Amaya. After them will be Hudson Davis and Buddy Campos in row 10, and just filling up that inside to Wolf will be Ryan Sievers of Wisconsin. Behind the 7 will be Daniel Rodriguez in the 60 and Zachariah Armstrong of Oklahoma. And then the final 3 rows, Iker Vera in the 61 and Jarrett Lavoie of Wisconsin. And then you've got Carl Childress in the 8, Matt McKillen in the 06. And the final full row of today, Noah Gray and Elaine Johnson, Robbie Gilvin, number 1, taking up the back of the field.
A lot of cars here today. Like I said earlier, this is a big field. Super Speedways always draw big fields, but it's going to be an interesting one. I mean, you got a ton of contenders. Friesen Rodriguez qualified on pole. He didn't do too hot in the first elimination qualifying to knock, I believe it was 3 drivers out. But then in the second qualifying, takes pole. It was by 3/1000ths of a second over Cole Mather, friend and I believe teammate.
It should be very interesting. Both of the front row drivers outside of the top 15 in points going into race 7 as the pace car will pull off.
Friesen Rodriguez going to lead the field to green, and it's in the air. We're green here for the Beach Bash 150. Not a great restart for that outside lane. That was Dakota Vega, second on the top, sorry. He didn't get a great jump. Nick Gunther immediately jumps up top. Is going to go with Cole Mather.
Yeah, things might get squirrely here on the first lap. Just looking at the front there, trying to form a first and second line. We're going to have to see who will end up falling in line and who's going to end up falling back as a result. Oh, big push here from the 07, going in 3.
Rodriguez holds the lead for now. Bit of warp there, but they're all good. He's going to surge ahead of that outside line.
If there's any good time to warp, it's when you're in the lead and away from the other cars. He's got a little bit of a space to work with so that net code doesn't get in the way.
For sure. I've seen too many instances of warp wrecks that happen sideways and all of a sudden they're inside of another car. So good that it happens when he's in the lead. But again, now here comes that outside. Whoa, close by Bryson Miller, but Cole Mather looking to make a run outside. He's got Nick Gunther and tons of more company behind to help.
And got a car on the apron as well. That's going to be LaPrade, your 4-time winner this season, taking the conservative approach here in the 64-lap race. It's going to be a gauntlet. We're going to have to see where he ends up right around the midway point, really.
And speaking about that 64-lap race, fuel at Daytona, it may be different here, but typically is about 19 to 20 laps. So if it goes green all the way, which you never know, it might, you'd see really close things on fuel. So I'm really interested as how this fuel mileage will play out at a super speedway.
You also have to consider the fact that these guys are drafting off of each other, which will therefore use less fuel. Everybody is working together, and honestly, some of them might be letting off a little bit so that they can push and that they have to deal with engine overheating and all of that. So if they have to let off a little bit, that could gain them as much as a lap or 2 in fuel mileage.
Got that right, especially if you're farther back in the pack. You know, if you're the leader, you're pretty much flat out whole time. If you're 10th in line, you're going to be lifting a lot on the straights, entering the corners, through the corners.
And Silla hit the wall there off of 2. Some light contact from Adriano as well. These guys are still trying to figure out this slick racetrack. Again, at the nighttime, when the sun falls down for the night, it ends up creating this bit of an interesting situation, which makes racing at Daytona during the night so much more difficult than racing it during the day. The track temperature is cooler here in southern Florida, and just trying to find a way for these people to have a clean race, but they're going to be a little bit looser on that top lane.
Speaking about that top lane, 47, Cole Mather, he is way out ahead now. That 66 had the advantage on the inside for a bit, but as we come to take lap 5 here, begin lap 5, that outside is completely surged around the inside. I believe the sixth car now is clear of the inside lane. 6th car on the top is clear of the first on the inside lane. Sorry. So you can just see how well that top is working, how much better they are and more organized.
Well, these guys are just going to keep getting faster and faster. The top lane is the name of the day so far. Everyone in the top 6 or 7 has just had their fastest lap. Mather specifically with a 41.84. These guys are racing at IndyCar speeds, 215 in the middle of the corners, running flat out. It's either going to be a recipe for disaster or a recipe for success, depending on who's going to be in the lead tonight.
Got that right. Nick Gunther, Dakota Vega, Cale Tescar Jr. all still sitting behind the leader. And you got Jack Merkel and Jarrett Grove. Sorry, not Jarrett Grove. That is Daniel Silla in the 0.
Yeah, nobody's looking too ambitious to make a move right now. The bottom line is doing its thing. It's not really holding its own, but the top line, the top six, is pretty far separated here between Scylla and seventh place Koryov. So if these guys can just find their way out, it could make for a very nice separation or a buffer between the front pack and the middle pack.
Yeah, I saw that on the backstretch. It was really separated. You see the 69 went low. He's got really no help. A couple car links back is Bryson Miller. But the 66 of Friesen Rodriguez now goes top. He's going to try to get back some of the spots that he lost after being alone on that inside for so long.
Well, what I'm noticing here is that every couple of laps, they're improving by about a tenth of a second. Gunther and specifically Mather, he just set his fastest lap of a 41.722. He got a car on the inside.
Daniel Scylla hard in the inside wall. That's a lick. For now, it
He
is.
might come back up too.
Oh, he is gone. Maybe a mechanical issue or a game crash. That looked like, I believe that was a single car, so I don't think they're gonna call a caution for that.
Yeah, I would imagine not, especially with how the rules have been laid out to us. Single cars don't prompt cautions, and even though it looks like he hit the inside of the wall, I don't think that was a natural movement. I think that had to be something either technological or mechanical, because he went on a beeline straight to the inside, straight from the inside lane.
And they're lucky there was no one to his inside, because he could have easily taken someone with him if there was, but nothing for now. Looking out back, just out of curiosity, you see Connor Spradling in the 16. He is way off the pack. Not sure if something happened to him or what, but he is pretty far off the pack. He's down the backstretch as they're exiting turn 4. And there's the 0. He's back in game. I believe his game probably did crash by the looks of it.
Receive throughput fell through, so he's going to get here at the back of the pack.
Gotcha. Unfortunate, but he may have a chance to get those back if a caution comes out.
Well, Dakota Vega jumped ship from the top, went down to the bottom. He's losing some spots here, getting passed by Green. I don't know about that strategy, but I think if it's going to be something that works out, especially if something with the top 5 ends up breaking off, that inside line isn't as fast.
Oh, and speaking of, 77's in the wall. Big checkup behind. Oh, and they're crashing. We got a huge crash. That's going to be a caution. Got a 5-car pileup.
Amaya, yeah, that was disaster waiting to happen, especially with those two lines kind of congealing together. Not surprised at all, but I don't think the damage is actually that bad in retrospect.
And look at that. I was just talking about Connor Spradling. He was way off. Managed to miss all that, and now he's going to be back in the pack. And the 0 of Daniel Scylla is also going to get his lap back after falling out. Let's go take a look at that.
Picked up a couple flat tires there on the wreck as well.
On board here with the 04 of William Green. Just gets in the back of that 77, sends him around, and then you see behind just people piling in. Not much they can do, really.
I think it's a chain reaction here, because what happened with the 77 and the 04 is several car lengths in front of what happens with Hudson Davis. But Davis checks up, Amaya follows suit, and that's where Gray and McKillen get involved, albeit lightly, and along with Wolf, just because of the fact that everybody's reacting to what happens up front. If you actually look at it, Adriano and Green were fine. They made contact, they went into the wall, but all of the carnage happened behind them because of that checkup, specifically from the 85 of Davis.
Just unfortunate checkups, but such is the way of super speedway racing. I think everybody involved is going to be fine. Slight aero damage, but it didn't look like anybody had a hard enough hit for engine damage. But as you can see, not even staying mid-pack or closer to the back is safe, as that was closer to the back of the mid-pack. So you're never safe here, but cars are going to come down pit road. Cole Mather will lead them.
Yeah, I think Mather got pretty lucky there. He was going to be a victim of rubber banding sooner or later, where he was getting too far out front, and then that pack was going to come back in and abandon him at some point so that somebody else could lead the way. But we'll see how these pit stops go.
A tight entry for both him and Friesen Rodriguez in the 66. Mather will get away with it, and he will keep his lead out of pit road.
A jump of 3 spots for Friesen Rodriguez. He's up to second. Tesker stays the same. Gunther loses 2. Merkel loses 1. And Armstrong, he must have taken 2 tires. He bumps up 8 spots from 14th to 6th.
We'll have a dedicated pit road exit cam from now on. You can see everything that's happening.
One man that stayed out there was Buddy Campos. He is marked a lap down in the 28th position, but he was the only one that stayed out. All other 28 cars in the field, there's 29 running right now, all of them pitted except for Campos. So with there being no wave arounds in this league, everybody gets a lap back. I think there's some confusion about whether Mather should pass Campos, whether he should go to the back of the field. I'm not exactly sure.
A good point, and I think Campos could have pit there, and he may this time by, but like you said, all lap cars get 1 lap back. They don't do lucky dog here, so he will get a lap back regardless if he pits or not. But if I were him, I'd want to pit because I'm gonna be. If not, you're gonna be low on fuel. We're about halfway through the first run of, or we were about halfway through the first run of fuel. So if he doesn't pit here, he's gonna lose out. But there he goes, and looks like he's gonna wave around now.
And Fox is joining him in the 29th position. There's right now 26 cars in the lead lap. 3 of them one down. The 98 of Fox, the 7 of, Campos, and then the 0 car as well, Dan Silla, who got some damage from that prior wreck, or I shouldn't say from that prior wreck, but from a separate incident that didn't bring out the caution. So we'll have to see. I would imagine they're not going green this time.
Don't believe this time. I think next time by we should be able to.
The whole ethos is getting turned on its head because I'm so used to seeing the yellow lights and the pace car kind of leading the way, but because they do things manually around here, that's where things get caught up because I see the green, bright green colors on top of the grandstand here in Daytona Beach, and or virtually in Daytona Beach, and well, that doesn't apply in this situation. It's all but symbolic after the green flag.
Yeah, it's a lot different. I know a lot of leagues use in-game cautions. They are not one of them. They do white zone controls. The leader will call green in the text chat, which you'll not be able to see, but we'll be able to see when they go.
We'll be able to deliver that message to the public.
Yep. But back up front, like you said, Friesen Rodriguez gained 3 spots out of pit road, and he is now sitting in second, right behind friend Cole Mather. Those are the 2 that started on the front row together. It was just the other way around, but we're gonna see if they're able to actually stick together this time and have a little more luck as they get through the laps and not get left out to dry like that 66 did.
Well, Rodriguez was one of those guys. I mean, remember he started on the pole for this race, and only 9 laps in, he got all the way down the 6th. But he was mostly on that top line. But that one time he did defect to the bottom, that's where he lost a lot of his ground. So he made it up on pit stops. One guy I want to highlight though is Zachariah Armstrong. He pitted 14th, came out 6th. It doesn't make a big difference, but he's got a couple people in front of him that if Tesker jumps to the bottom, Merkel, who's won twice this year, Gunther, Rodriguez, Mather, any of those guys, if they jump to the bottom, Armstrong knows where that dominant line is. So I think that he might be somebody that not only has gained a lot of positions on the pit lane, but could very well do the same under green flag conditions.
Got that right, and I believe we are going green this time. And there, Cole Mather gets a great jump on the rest of the field here.
That jump was almost too good there from the 47. Everybody sprawled out here at the start.
Very spread out. You see after that is the 99 of Elaine Johnson. It's a big gap back to Daniel Rodriguez in the 60. That's just how big the gap was on that restart. People caught sleeping.
Well, when you don't have that visual cue of the grandstand or the caution lights or the flag, you kind of have to go off your memory of glancing down at the text chat and seeing what Cole Mather or whoever the leader is has to say. and when they call it. So you really have to be on your best behavior there. But honestly, I don't mind this kind of a restart. It sprawls everybody out. You had a wreck on lap 9. What happens in NR leagues at Daytona? Everybody turns into a wreck ball out there. So if you're going to have a long green flag run here in the early stages of the race, after a 9-lap green flag run, best thing you can do is to spread everybody out, even if it is a little bit convoluted in nature.
Daniel Rodriguez made a good move to the bottom there. He will move up past Elaine Johnson and Dakota Vega. That is up into the 7th position.
And some contact on the back going into 3 for Rodriguez and Mather. Rodriguez really wants that lead back, but they also have to balance the conservative aspect of this is, well, you don't want to wreck for nothing because you're on lap 14. Everybody knows you got 50 laps to go, not 15, and certainly not 5.
I think that's the big question for tonight, and the big question every night, especially at Super Speedways, is when do you start trying to go? What point?
Not now.
Yeah, got that right. What point do you want to start making moves? I know this is in the back of probably all these drivers' minds. Is once we get to the end of the race, when do I start making those moves? When do I decide to be a little more aggressive? Here comes Rodriguez, Daniel Rodriguez, to the bottom. Got a little bit of help behind him. Oh, big warp from that 99 of Lane Johnson.
Wanted to make 2 notes. Sebastian Amaya spun out on the back stretch, or rather on the front stretch going into 1. He is at the back of the field, and then Robbie Gilvin pitted going to green. He is now 1 down. Last car off the lead lap.
Yeah, and you saw Gilvin coming off the pit road. I assumed it was connection issues, and that has been confirmed. But just like Scylla on that last caution, I'm sure Gilvin will have a chance to make up some time and probably get his lap back if a caution comes out.
Well, as soon as I said that, as soon as I was about to say that bottom line had some life, it already has some defectors. Miller went back up top, Karias went back up top, but Rodriguez now in the top 5 trying to work with that bottom line. He's got Armstrong there, he's got Johnson there, a lot of different aspects who can get there, but the top line just seems too good to not want to be there right now. Everybody in the bottom line.
Oh, big crash. Oh my goodness. Humongous one. Dakota Vega barrel rolling. Oh my goodness. Caution is out. We got a huge wreck. Turn away for half a second and look at what's happened. Cole Mather, still the leader. Friesen Rodriguez in second, but about 6th on back. All got destroyed in that. You see huge front end.
51 was along for a big ride there.
Yeah.
He flipped over a couple times, get the back end into the fence, and then landed on his roof. He's been teleported to pit lane now.
Saw Daniel Rodriguez, huge front end damage on him, as well as the 77. 04 looks like he has some damage. 6. Got a lot of cars in that. We're going to go take a look. I don't believe they'll be coming down pit road. Oh, they will. We'll be coming down pit road this time. Cole Mather will lead him on. Oops. Oh, wow. Almost a wreck in the back there, look like. But once pit stops are over, we'll go take a look at that wreck, because that was a big one. There is Dakota Vega in his pit stall again. He was towed back after that huge crash. Test car takes not much fuel, and he's going to get out ahead of Rodriguez. Top 7 stay almost the same, and it's a big gap back to those who had damage. But Cole Mather still leads off of pit road. Test car moves up ahead of Rodriguez. And let's take a look at what happened there.
Yeah, I think what happened with Dakota Vega was that he drifted up a little bit as a reaction, kind of a precaution to Rodriguez, and then he juts out. He hits something on the outside wall. Vega in the driver's room was saying that it could be some kind of a glitch, but he jumps out, hits Rodriguez, and that's what sends him over on the right side.
Oh my goodness.
Rodriguez ends up popping over, and that's where Vega makes contact with Miller while he's on his roof, and then going right into the wall outside of him is Severs. A lot of guys involved there. Karias, Green, Wolf, Jameson as well. At least 7 or 8 cars involved. Vera tried to get through but slid into it. That kind of all started by accident. It just seemed like that Vega was again trying to be careful around the 60, who looked like he was gliding up into him. One thing leads to another, and Vega hits the wall, juts back out, like almost juts out 45 degrees in a single second, comes back, and then starts that wreck. I don't think of any fault of his own. I'd be surprised if they penalize him for it, but that's not anything that he could have avoided. I think that was some kind of a structural issue there.
On board with Cameron Jameson as he tried to make it through this wreck. It just got turned down on, clipped, landed on by that 51. And yeah, what he said seemed to be right. There was a huge jut in the wall there. Really weird. Haven't ever seen that before. But yeah, he was trying to avoid the 60. Ended up running into the wall, and big crash resulted from it. Very unfortunate. But we move on. Some drivers are out. I believe the 51, has he retired?
Yeah, I would imagine that Dakota not going to be too happy about that, especially if it's not a fault of his own. Again, he wasn't being too, he wasn't being too. What's the right word here? He wasn't trying to be overreactive to the 60. He just moved up a little bit because it looked like the Napa Toyota was kind of drifting into his lane, and then he ran out of room and unknowingly hit something in the wall. And again, just one thing leads to another. We talk about it all the time, and that ends up happening right there.
Super unfortunate as he was running well. He is not retired yet, but he is still sitting on pit road. Not sure if he is being towed still or if he is being damage repaired. But either way, even if he does get the damage repaired and his engine is not killed, he's going to struggle hard to keep up with these guys rest of the day. I know he is one who is attempting to fight in the championship, so this is not going to be helpful for him as he was looking to close the gap to Gunther, LaPrade and Merkel, but a DNF is not going to help.
Here's the thing about the points, though. Right now, he's fourth in the standings. He is 15 behind Armstrong, but here's the thing. LaPrade is 16 up on Merkel, and LaPrade and Merkel are the only two drivers who have won anything this year. Merkel has won twice, LaPrade has won 4 times. The gap between LaPrade and Merkel, again, 16. The gap between Merkel and Armstrong, 50. It's going to take a lot more for Vega to pass Merkel and LaPrade than it is to pass Armstrong. And we're halfway through. Next week is the All-Star race in the Open at North Wilkesboro, and then you've got a gauntlet next 3 races, 3 very skilled and technical tracks of Darlington in South Carolina, Fontana in California, and Irwindale also in Southern California. So as these guys get ready to take the green, Dakota Vega, if he gets out today, if Sebastian Amaya finishes well, he could pass him. Cameron Jameson is only about 20, 30 points back. He could pass him as we'll go to green.
You saw a ton of cars jump out of line there. Cole Mather with another great restart, but looks like Jarrett Gravois in the 6 is the first car kind of a bit back from that lead pack, ending with Zach Armstrong. But everybody's still in it. He got tons of drafts, so tons of chances to make up time. Too wide back here in the back. This is around 20th region. And Miles Fox is going to drop to the apron. He's looking to go to the back once more. Try to avoid a bit of conflict.
For second, Tesker and Rodriguez now joining forces with the leader Mather, who has not relinquished that position in a long time.
66 is going to go up in front of the 26. Whoa, almost thought he was going to make a move below the 47, but looks like he will bide his time and stay behind the 47 for now.
Every restart we've had has had less and less contributors on the inside line. I think everybody's trying to get in the memo now. The first restart, that first 9-lap run was about 50-50. The second lap, or rather the second run, only had maybe 4 or 5. Well, now Johnson, out of the top 11 in the first pack, is the only one on the inside and is desperately trying to find a wedge and will find one in Noah Gray, or maybe not, on the outside.
Probably going to have to tuck behind Dunlap-Rad in that 74, but also the 3 of Winty Wolf is catching and may fill that hole by the time Elaine is trying to get in there. But Elaine holding her own right now on the bottom. But I know that's definitely not going to last long, as I say that. Winty did not get there in time, so Elaine will be good to.
47's
Whoa.
warping hard.
Yeah.
That is not good for the leader and for everybody behind him, probably making him put on a new pair of underwear. That is not a good situation for these guys to be in with their guy that's basically moving around all over the place, no control.
Rodriguez definitely had to stay off him. You know, I mean, even when he's not warping, you got to be sketchy when pushing, especially this early in the race with how bad that warp was. But
because you never know when that's going to bust out again.
and as we look back, Dunlop Pratt is the last car in this first main pack. He is in 10th right now. Then it's another pack of about 10 as well. But you can just see the separation. It's almost 2 seconds now, the separation between the first and second pack. And that's huge. They're side by side right now. They're not working together well at all. That front pack is fully single file. They are working together. But the second pack, you got too wide all over the place.
Well, one of the things I will note is that Merkel, the second place driver in points, 16 behind Dunlop-Laprade, is in 5th. And then right at the end of that tail end of the pack, as you said, is Laprade, who's won 4 races this year. I think if Merkel or Laprade wins at Daytona, I think that kind of sends the message that, yeah, we are the 2 guys that are going to be competing for a title this year. Nobody else should even bother.
Nobody else should even bother, indeed. And apologies, Laprade is 11th, so top 11 in that pack. And then it's another big pack of, I believe, 10 or 11. So.
And it should be noted that Dakota Vega is still on track as well. He's in the 28th position. He is running at 175, which that's also because he's all alone in the pack and doesn't have anybody else with him. So they're going to be coming up on him actually going towards the front stretch.
And again, you got to feel for him. Like you said, he was, I think you said 16 behind Zach Armstrong. But even with that, Armstrong right now is running 6th. So 6th versus 28th, huge point differential. That'll give Armstrong a lot of a much bigger buffer over him. But I mean, it's just unfortunate for him. That wall bounce was a glitch.
Yeah, it wasn't even his fault. You know, we talked about before, I think it was Kansas in 2014. There was a giant chunk of concrete on the track that ended up, ruining some driver's day because they dug into it. So things happen, structural issues happen. But for Vega, the only reason why he's on the track right now is because he's got a full season campaign ahead of him. Still has the second half of the season. He's 4th in points. What if something in the next 40-something laps happens to Laprade, Merkel, Armstrong, etc.? Anybody in front of him in points, he has a death wish on them right now. He hopes that they flip, they crash, they get engine damage, whatever. They hope that they have this. He hopes probably that they have the same fate as him. That's what you want to have here. You want to have a little bit of vengeance for the opponents in front of you.
Got that right. I mean, never want to wish bad things on other race car drivers, but I think.
Look out.
Oh no, that is the 6th. Yeah, what a save! Went sliding through the grass. Probably had contact from someone behind, but great save.
That's Dukes of Hazzard stuff right there.
That broke up the front pack a little bit. They're going to be a little disoriented here.
Now it's only the top 6 because Armstrong separates Noah Gray by about 4 car lengths. But, I mean, I had a feeling as soon as Merkel moved down to the bottom line, that was not a permanent move. That was a trap. That was to get somebody to move down with them and get them disoriented, get them in trouble. And that's exactly what they did. Gravois went through the grass, and he has now dropped down to the back of the pack in 11th, as everybody in the second pack will now pass him.
He's going to get trained big here. No one wanted to go with him as he had no momentum built up. Connor Spradling is the one leading the second pack. He's got friend Braden Corioth right there with him in that 69, both Chevys. Then it is Carl Childress in the 8, running well right now. Hasn't had anything bad happen to him as he has a bit of a history of unfortunate events on super speedways, and I hope it didn't jinx him, but he's looking good so far this race. Need to caution to get back into it as they have, again, fallen almost 5 seconds off of the lead pack now.
So we're right now on lap 9 of this green flag run. You assume everybody who pitted on that last caution took fuel. We're probably about halfway through that run now, and even some cars are coming up now, including Vega, who's dropping down to the bottom, and Adriano and Green, who are all going to be picked up as lapped cars here. So should be interesting to see how these guys figure it out, because when you're halfway through a green flag run at Daytona, you don't know if that green flag run will cultivate in green flag pit stops, or if it will end in a caution.
Too true. I've seen racing and broadcasting, watching. I've seen too many wrecks entering pit road, people trying to outbreak themselves, and then all of a sudden you've got a caution and people are tight on fuel. It's a whole mess. That's you never want to caution right as pit stops are happening, but things happen and drivers make mistakes. It's just the way it goes. But we'll see if they can make it clean. If they make it to green flag pit stops, that is, if they can make it cleanly. But so far, so good. They're really spread out right now, so less of a chance for anything to happen, especially with this front pack being single file.
The less cars that are all together, the better. Right now, you've got 10 cars in a lead pack. Assuming they all pit together, that is probably better than having 15 or 20 of those guys all jumbled up and just trying to find, a drafting partner, if you will. Everybody's working together. We got a choo-choo going on down here as we reach the halfway point, or near the halfway point.
For sure. And I was going to note how the second pack is also single file, but they have since dropped that single file and are now once again fighting. There's 9 cars in that pack versus 10 in the first pack, combined with the fact that they're not working together, and it is almost a 7-second gap between. Oh no, 1 car around, 2 cars.
Scylla and Gilvin, it looks like.
The 0 and the 1 both around. I'm sure that's going to bring out a caution. We got another wreck on the front stretch. Iker Vera and Cameron Jameson go spinning.
Look out.
Oh,
wow. Edged him right there.
They keep it out of trouble. Caution is out now. Mather's still your leader. Nothing really changed up front. That was in the second pack that all happened, but looked like Jameson and Iker Vera both kept it clean. I think Iker Vera blew a tire, so that 61 is going to have a bit of trouble turning. It's going to have a slower pit stop, I'm sure. Looks like the left front may be down, but it's better than having terminal damage. And let's take a look at what happened real quick. Looking at this first wreck with Gilvin and Gravois, sorry. Oh, that's just a lick into the wall for Gilvin. Looked like Amaya got up into the 0, and then that left Gilvin with really nowhere to go. And he just went straight into the 0. Take one more look at it.
I don't know why Sebastian Amaya was that far up. You're going into the banking transition in the turn 1. He's moving straight up the racetrack, and then Scylla's right there. I don't really understand that, but at the same time, again, Scylla hits the wall. He turns down. Just seems like lose-lose situation there.
And there you saw Jameson and who was that? That was the 04 William Green. Green almost hit Jameson there, but a little too close for comfort, honestly. I wouldn't want to be that close. That was almost a vicious plow, but he did not plow, thankfully.
Well, the caution was called while the 1 and the 0 were at the bottom of the racetrack, probably about a second or two before Vera makes contact with Jameson. So that could definitely be a penalty against the 61, who in Atlanta was given a warning. He was one of 3 drivers given a penalty, license restriction for Bermudez, and warnings for Mather and Vera. So he could definitely have another penalty added to his rap sheet here this evening.
And I saw Bryson Miller spin there. I think he's going to get tires because of that spin. You see Amaya back there. Yeah.
In the pit lane.
Stopped on pit lane. He's trying to get into his box, looks like.
Well, Amaya was backwards in his stall. He was at pit road speed, brake checked. Gray just got into the back of him, and then contact, looks like with the 77 of Adriano after that. So, again, I said it like a broken record. One thing after another, chain reaction there, and Amaya's backwards in his own pit stall. And now I think I've seen it all. The 40 just self-spun, leaving pit lane and lost a position because of it.
What a day. This has been a true roller coaster ride. I believe the leader is the 24 of Merkel. He is up ahead of the rest of the field. Now they're catching up to him, but I was just about to say the 47 and 66 still your two leaders, but it looks like Merkel has taken that over. Sorry about the coverage for Pit Road. Had a bit of a replay analyzing to do with a few of those wrecks. That was an interesting sequence of events, but like I said, Merkel. Oh, it looked like he stayed out, possibly to lead a lap. He has led that lap. He's gonna go in now. You want to give up that track position though? I mean, he was running fifth, and now he's gonna be all the way back, probably in the high 20s, 28th, 29th, something like that. I guess he thought the points were worth it for leading a lap, but we'll see if he's able to work his way back up without getting involved in anything. That's the tough part.
This is a gamble. You know, you're gambling here. This is a situation where Merkel gets the bonus point for leading a lap, and then gets a fresher lap of tires as well. If green flag pit stops do come to pass, could have a situation where Merkel ends up taking advantage of that. We could wreck in 30 seconds, and then we would have another caution, and all of his efforts would be for naught. But at super speedways specifically, there's a lot of gambling, and Jack Merkel, he needs the points. He's 16 back to Laprade, and Laprade himself is now in the 10th position. He got a position back after Gravois had trouble earlier in the green flag run. So every position that Laprade gains is one that Merkel needs ahead of him going into the All-Star break and the midway break of this season.
Driver should be good to go green this time. Dakota Vega still on track despite his damage and injuries, but he's going to stick it out, attempting to get those points. Those oh so precious points. He needs them. He wants a shot at this title, or even a shot to pass Armstrong's. That's his closest target right now. You see Gilvin there as well, who's caught up in that last wreck. He had some decent front end damage. It was a pretty hard lick to the outside wall, safer barrier, but looks to be mostly repaired up. We'll see if he has lasting damage and aero damage that's holding him back or not. But once we go green, we'll figure that out. Should be good to go green this time. Again, Cole Mather and Friesen Rodriguez still your top two. Those two have been working together all night, and they're looking to keep doing the same thing.
And it looks like for Friesen Rodriguez, it is his first race of the season, first point-paying one at that. Mather is third from the bottom. He's got 38 points. The only people ahead of him are Phil Parker, who is currently serving our country in Louisiana, and then Francisco Montero with 30. So Mather, now with an opportunity as we go green, to get himself in the standings books a little bit deeper.
And a huge jump. It just gets... The gaps get bigger and bigger every single restart. Now the gap to third and in Nick Gunther is big, and then the gap back to fourth in Cale Teskar Jr. is huge as well. Again, they'll draft back up as you have a lot of drafted tracks like this, obviously, but the jumps on these restarts are just getting wilder and wilder. You saw Elaine Johnson look to jump to the inside of Noah Gray on that restart, but decided to tuck back in, and they are still single file up front.
That's where I inherently disagree with the chat call restarts, as I like to call them, because the person who will react fastest to the restart is Cole Mather, because he gets to call it himself. An official doesn't call it, the leader does. Everybody else is going to inherently have a disadvantage because the person that is reacting the quickest is the one that's hitting the enter button. And because of that, you're now seeing single file packs that are inherently uninteresting, but now the inside line finally starting to get something as Johnson ducked in and out of line and Laprade trying to find some space in the real estate.
Yeah, I can say myself being a racer of... Oh, and caution looks to be out here. Something may have happened in the back.
Indeed, Gilvin and Adriano have damage.
Unfortunate. Robbie Gilvin back-to-back incidents. We'll go take a look at that in a sec. But yeah, like I was saying, racing in these leader calls leagues, when I'm the leader, I'll hit enter and slam the gas pedal at the same time. No one else is gonna have that reaction time as they're not the ones hitting the enter key. So I feel like it does create a bit of an unfair advantage, I mean, obviously in real life, the leader
In
can
real life, it
go.
was neutral.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it was actually Matt McKillen who got involved. The 77 had prior damage but was not involved. It was the '07 and the '06 who then got clipped by Severs, and Gilvin made contact with him as well.
Yeah, '07 just gets up into the '06 and then the 40 side swipes him. Oh my goodness, almost flipped. That is crazy.
He kind of got saved from flipping by Robbie Gilvin there.
Yeah. Very
But that's
unfortunate.
that again. Just circling back one more time to that caution point. Imagine in Formula One when you're parked on the start-finish line of let's say, Spa in Belgium or whatever, or one of the famous racetracks. Imagine if Max Verstappen was able to just press a button and start the race whenever he wanted to. Like, I have a feeling that there's a reason why that, at least an official calls to green. Because if the leader calls to green, as you said, if you're in front, you have all control. And that makes everybody else kind of, dogs in the pile. And they don't really have the same opportunity to react in the same way. Because if they do try to jump it and react earlier, guess what? They're jumping the start. So I don't know if I exactly agree with that, just as a neutral observer.
Yeah, I definitely understand your point. I mean, I'm a fan of game called cautions just because it's a bit more, you know, realistic, a bit more fair to everybody. But you see a couple cars coming down pit road and a couple more staying out. We just pit, what was that, 2 or 3 laps ago? But if you want to top off on fuel and maybe have a shorter pit stop, if we go green, now's your chance to do so. You may save, 3 seconds on your green flag pit stop if we have those. So I think these guys are taking the gamble, gonna see what they can do. Oh, Dakota Vega. Ah, okay. Thought that was a hit, but Dakota Vega is gonna go to the garage.
I think he's running through the victory lane first. He's taking a bit of a detour.
He may be the winner in his heart, but unfortunately, I don't think he'll be the
Making
winner.
himself feel a little bit better by driving past victory lane.
He will not be the winner of this race. Miles Fox most likely had a speeding penalty there. Came out ahead of Amaya and Spradling, but is now stopped on the apron.
Gilvin's going to join him. He's driving at about 10 miles an hour through the fan zone.
Having a little fun, running over some fans, seems like.
I think that is grounds for a penalty, is if you run over a fan, if you pull a Kyle Busch.
Yeah, that's got to be something. I mean, hey, just running over innocent fans in the infield, You might be running over a couple of people's pit crew, too. It's like, geez, man, where does it stop?
Self-sabotage.
Now, Cole Mather still up front, as he has been for a majority of the day. Should be good to go green this time. Gilvin is merging and should catch before they make it to the start finish. But this is the chance. This is where if we go green, we'll have green flag pit stops. If a caution comes out in 5 to 7 laps, it'll most likely be the last pit stop of the day. So we'll see if they can make it all the way green.
I'm not holding my breath on it, though.
I'm not putting.
Just to be honest, if we go green on lap 39, you have 20 laps, give or take, given the draft. That's going to be lap 59. That's going to be 5 laps to go, and you're going to be at the point of no return. Green flag.
And that was a bit of a better restart. People seem
He
to.
called that in the middle of the middle of the front stretch. He didn't even get to the restart zone.
I'm not sure if the admins are calling control early or what, but he called that really early. It seemed like a lot of people were adapting to it though, as the top 9 back to Winty Wolf are all a little more packed together, unlike last restart. That last restart was fully spaced out. This time a bit better, but then you have 2 wide.
Pretty quickly.
Yeah. You got 2 wide back from 10th to about 16th. with Jarrett Gravois on the outside.
And Merkel's in that sandwich too with Childress and Jamison, who got involved in that wreck earlier.
Like I said earlier, Merkel was one of the ones who gambled and decided to come. He led that lap, and not the last caution, but the one before that. Stayed out, led a lap, and then came down pit road. So he has slightly more fuel, but there are cars out here with more fuel than him. So he took that gamble. He's still up front. He is running, let me see, I believe 12th right now. So close to the top 10, and he's in that lead packs draft.
Well, I think the big thing about that restart we talked about with Cole Mather is that after that prior restart was so egregious, now everybody has adapted. They're like, okay, we're expecting a really early restart. We can figure out the patterns. It's like in Major League Baseball. Players know certain umpires. They know where they're going to call balls and strikes. We know we have to keep the zone tight. We know we have to keep it a little bit shifted. That's how people are reacting to Cole Mather. And if they have another restart, I bet you they're going to get even a little bit better, and maybe he even may be challenged for the lead.
Got that right. I'm expecting him to get past at some point, but as we hit lap 41, or yes, 41, still no big moves have been made. He's been leading pretty much all day with his friend Friesen Rodriguez right behind him. Then it's Nick Gunther, Cale Teskar Jr., and Zach Armstrong on the top lane. They've been kind of in that area along with them. But Dunn LaPrad's the first one on the inside. Got Winty Wolf behind him. Just 2 cars for now.
LaPrad's been dancing with that inside line. I don't think that inside line has a lot of the grip. You can see where that residue ends. It's exactly in the middle of where Mather and Rodriguez are, in the middle of 1 and 2. Where that line ends, they're getting a lot of grip on the left side tires, but not a lot on the right side. So that's where they're getting that little bit of extra speed from. So they're trying to line this up perfectly, because that groove does adjust and it kind of apexes the corner. You can see they're above it exiting 4, but when they go in the 1 and 2, right around the middle, they reach that middle line and they get a little boost that way. And that also helps save their times.
There's not enough people in that bottom lane right now. It's, I believe, like 9-4. So definitely
well, Jonathan,
not.
The precedent's not there.
Yeah.
It's 9-4 right now, but even when it was 50-50, for a very brief time in that early first run, the top lane was faster. So if somebody's going to make a race-winning move, either now or later, it's going to be through that top lane. It's going to be because somebody gets forced down to the bottom. It's going to be because somebody's going to pass high. I don't think it's going to be because somebody made a move on the inside of the racetrack.
I think the only way you can make a move on the inside is if you door or turn the person on the outside. Just doesn't seem to have what it needs, even when you have more people, and especially when it doesn't help when you don't have the people you need. As you can see there, LaPrade got back up top. That inside line has failed to work once again, but see a bit of warp, and it looks like he's gonna try it again. No, he tucks back up top. Just not anything on that bottom. They cannot seem to form it together, and that top line is too strong.
Again, Daytona is not a multi-groove racetrack. It hasn't been in over 30 years, and it's a 31-degree banking racetrack. They're going to find whatever their line is, and they found it on lap 1. They realized, oh, we're on the outside row. That's how Friesen Rodriguez dropped all the way back to 6th on the first run, was because he started on the pole, which was actually disadvantageous to him, because he ended up dropping back, even when they were 50-50. So you can see there where he drops down. Sorry to cut you off. Where Gunther and Tesker are, you can see that their left side tires are hitting that resin in the bottom half of the corner. And then as they're exiting, they lose it, and then they kind of slow down a little bit. And that's where everybody gets stacked up, and that's where some of that separation is. They don't hit it in the entrance of the corner, but for about 60-70% of the corner, those left side tires are touching that residue and making them just a little bit faster and saving their left sides.
We have now hit lap 46 out of 64, 19 laps to go. And again, cars are going to have to pit. That last caution, we went green at lap 38, I believe it was. So most likely around lap 55 is when we're going to start seeing pit stops. I don't know if people are going to push it all the way to lap 58 or so, but definitely late in the race with most likely less than 10 laps to go is when you're going to start seeing those pit stops, if we make it there. But right now,
longest green flag run of the day has been 9. I'm not putting a wager on it. But I do know that on the backstretch, there's been some really close quarters between Rodriguez, Gunther, and Mather. Those guys are just trying to get as far away from everybody else as possible and create some separation. The more separation there is, the less likely that people will wreck, and the more likely that we'll go at least to the point of no return cleanly.
And you saw on that helicopter cam just a couple moments ago the separation. It's closed back up now, but there was separation between Gunther and Teskar, third and fourth. Um, like I said, now they're bumper to bumper again, but those top three were trying to make something happen and pull away. It's gonna be tough, especially with an 11 car pack. No, 13. Sorry, 13 car pack you have here.
Which is better than last time.
Yeah, yeah. They had, I mean, in the front pack now, they've had 9, 10, 11. Now they're up to 13. Ends with Carl Childress in the 8. Uh, and it's another big pack behind that. But, oh, 77 ducking out the way.
The biggest moves you're going to see are not what you would expect out of a real world situation. If this thing was replicated in the real world, these guys will be a lot closer together. But netcode exists in the virtual world. People not holding their line because they're 16 years old and they don't know how to drive. That is also a big factor that people have to think about. These guys are wiggling together like a little worm out there. These are not professionals. And when you look at these drivers that are going together here, the worst thing that could happen is that somebody gets out of line because nobody wants to get out of line. You got 15 laps to go. Why do you want to get out of line? There's no incentive at this time for you to pass. So with everybody twitching up and down, Gravois not really holding his line, that is the biggest factor that could contribute to a wreck late in this race.
And I think the main point you touched on is that netcode. We already seen a couple netcode wrecks here in this race. And it's just such a key factor of this game, you know. In some other games like iRacing, you know, netcode exists, it's not as bad. But this game, you know, being 22 years old now.
22, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about. 22 years old, there's going to be a lot of connection issues, especially with people who have worse connections. That doesn't help at all. So,
don't forget that this game was a precursor to iRacing. Steve Phelps worked on this game in heavy capacity, and in 2008 became the CEO of iRacing. So a lot of the things that you're seeing today is almost an unpolished or unfinished copy of iRacing that has now been a community staple for the past 2 decades. And there's some separation there with the 3 cars.
see from that overhead view about a car link between Gunther and Teskar. Teskar has been on his bumper most of the time, so that separation is, you know, a bit of an odd separation, and that seems to come from those top three trying to do something, but again, it's hard. You have 10 other cars behind you in this pack. It's going to be hard to pull away from those 10 when you have just 3. They're going to need to be perfect, but I don't think they're going to be able to do it. Now, Jack Merkel, again, took that gamble. He led that lap, pit the lap later under that caution. He is sitting in 10th. His championship rival, Dunlop Pratt, is sitting 8th, 2 cars ahead of him. Only Braden Korioth sitting between them, but this is really going to come down to the pit stops. How well can you execute it?
And I think that with how dominant Merkel and Laprade have been this year, this is the best chance for Merkel to make up some ground or take the lead if Laprade runs into trouble. Again, these are the only 2 drivers who have won anything this year. Laprade 4 times, Mather twice. I apologize, Merkel twice. This is going to be the biggest opportunity for somebody else, a wild card, to take victory lane for the first time this year in the 7th race of the year.
Well, Mather's looking good right now. You know, never speak too soon, but he's led probably 90% of this race thus far, with Friesen Rodriguez being in second 90% of the race as well. So those two have been 1 and 2. But
it's mostly because nobody's challenged them. And there's, again, no incentive to challenge them. You see what happens in NASCAR. Somebody who leads 100, 150 laps at the Daytona 500 from the final stage to the final 15 laps, as we got some movement there, they usually aren't the ones to win, because you know what happens? It's a little 5-letter word. It's called chaos. And in the NR world, it's no different.
You get left out to dry, you get netcode warped by a lap car. Anything can happen to you if you're leading. You can mess up your pit stop. Your pit crew can mess up your pit stop. You can speed on pit road, lose the lead, go a lap down. It's chaos, just like he said. And that's really what makes you. Oh, and speaking of, Mather on his lid. Friesen Rodriguez in it as well. Caution is going to be out.
Heartbeat of
Oh.
the devil.
And Dan, I think we may have jinxed it, unfortunately. Wow.
Jinx or not, that seemed like that was brewing a little bit as Mather's warping had accelerated, and some contact after the yellow there with Johnson, and I think Spradling, either Spradling or Gravois, but not a good situation there. And now again, the ethos of this race has been turned entirely on its head.
And yeah, he just warped up, back down, and then across Rodriguez's nose, sent them both spinning. And like you said, there was contact between Gravois and Elaine Johnson. Let's take a look at that, see how they got together.
Mather was actually fine for that entire lap from turn 2 all the way until about the final light stand in turn 4. Or actually right near that Sunoco sign. He blinks for about 20 frames, which in this situation will be about 2/3 of a second. And then as soon as he comes back, he stays in the same position, which basically puts him inside the 66. The net code gets a weight shift that sends him over. That's what it was. He blinked for about a half of a second, and his track position didn't change. So as far as Rodriguez advanced on the track, Mather had stayed put, the two congealed, and that's how they got together.
And I actually saw it as we were on board with Rodriguez. He got hit in the back by Gunther. So he didn't spin from contact with Mather, but he actually spun from getting rear-ended. I mean, not much blame to Gunther. It was a huge checkup out of nowhere. It was really unexpected, but unfortunate for those two. They were leading all day long. Now, as we come down pit road, this will be the last pit stop of the day for most cars.
So I apologize. Mather was only frozen out for 6 frames, which would be about a sixth or a fifth of a second if you're running 30 frames per second. So when he comes back, it goes from the white line to the Sunoco sign in turn 4, which in the real world is probably about 50 to 60 feet. And because of the speed difference where Mather was, Rodriguez ended up just being a sitting duck. Gunther, being so close to them, ended up just being, again, a byproduct of that crash.
Really sad for Cole Mather and Friesen Rodriguez. Again, they were both running great all night. But we have a new leader, Nick Gunther. He has been known.
Excellent moves by I'm sorry to cut you off. Tesker moved straight through the middle of that crash to get in. Armstrong moved up to 3rd, and Noah Gray got a couple spots up to 4.
But yeah, Nick Gunther, new leader. He's been known to run great at a lot of tracks, super speedway, intermediate, doesn't matter. He runs great pretty much everywhere, but he's looking to see what he can do if he'll if he'll get a move made on him or anything like that by Teskar, who's been running great in a lot of leagues as of late. Just ran Gnarl before this and unfortunately got in a wreck late with Joshua Clements, but overall his speed has improved and you can tell as he's running P2 now. That is Ryan Sievers waving around.
Well, it's been about 9 months since Nick Gunther has held the trophy in victory lane. His last win was season 2, race 12 at Detroit Belle Isle on August 30th of last calendar year, in the third to last race of the season, and where Nico Servideo won the season 2 championship. So for Gunther, it will be big. I think Tesker will be the bigger wild card. Think of it as Ryan Blaney winning the Daytona 500 compared to Ricky Stenhouse type. So I think that Gunther winning would be great, but he's going to have to hang on for the next 10 laps.
And I'm actually getting...
Looks like no green.
Yeah, no green this time.
They're not going to go through.
I'm getting private word from Cole Mather.
That never ends well.
That his game tabbed out. That was the reasoning. His game
tapped out for 6 frames.
Yeah, it's crazy. Tapped out for a sec, tabbed back in, and all of a sudden he's flipping on his lid. Really sad.
Honestly, that doesn't surprise me too much. Again, like we said, he had warping problems, and 6 frames out of a 30 frame second, assuming that you're talking about 30 frames a second for NR. That is 2/10 of a second. And these cars are traveling 200, 250 miles an hour. That's, first of all, that's how realistic this 22-year-old game is that reflects the distance traveled, where by the time I believe the car behind him was Rodriguez, yes, the 66. By the time he got into him, he had traveled the 60, 70 feet to get into the 12, and that weight shift sends him over, and then Gunther, again, being a little bit of a byproduct of that, but his push gives himself the lead. But we've had a decent amount of crashes as a result of mechanical failures or game failures. Mather had an issue that brought out the last caution, and then think about Dakota Vega from lap, I believe it was 18, where he found I don't know, a jagged pylon from the turn one wall and got sent sideways and sent overboard.
And I believe we are going green this time by, again, Gunther, your new leader. He's gonna wave the green flag. We're rolling once again.
And immediately on the inside was Merkel that time.
Whoa!
Whoa.
Almost, or there was contact, almost a wreck there between Merkel and Armstrong. They're now side by side. That's for fourth. We're at 8 laps to go.
And 3 wide in the middle of the pack with Gray, who dropped back big, Fox and Childress. They've now broken up.
They settle it out. Top 3 remain the same. Merkel back to 5th. And now he's getting a move made on him by Winty Wolf in the 3. He's got Connor Spradling with him. They're looking to get around Merkel.
And LaPrade, the ever-eternal winner in this series. He's won 4 times this year, now up to 3rd.
Corey out to the bottom. Now
things are starting to get dicey.
Yeah. And more people make moves. They all get back up top, but just the amount of moves that are being made, you see a lot more risks are being taken. Grayson Rodriguez actually is still up there.
Tesker.
Oh, wow. Big move. Sorry, I hit the wrong button, but he's now made the move to the inside, and he's going to lead a lap.
Half a car length that time. Official marker, 37 thousandths of a second gives the 26 to lead.
He's got LaPrade, Armstrong, Wolf, and Spradling behind, but he's going to go back to the top. So does Armstrong. Then LaPrade again left out to dry on the bottom. This is happened to him so often this race. I don't know why, but
it's happened to everybody. He's 4 miles per hour slower than Tesker there, and he's only 2 or 3 car lengths back. Everybody on that bottom line is running 208, 209. Meanwhile, the top line's running 213, 214. It's just math. It's just science. The top line tonight is the fast lane. It's where you want to be. And he's just dropped down 4 positions down the 6th.
Whoa, we got 3 wide in the back here. Oh, almost contact. That's Carl Childress, Cameron Jameson, and Miles Fox. They are 3 wide back there. That is for, I believe, 13th. Maybe my math is off. I believe that's 11th, actually. Sorry.
Well, Fox is 8th in points, Jameson in 6th, and then Connor Spradling in that pack as well in 7th. So up in the top echelon of Essex points this year, those are 3 candidates that could be trading places with each other given the next 5 laps.
LaPrade gets the wall a bit there. That's going to slow him up as well as that 66.
Merkel is officially ahead of LaPrade.
Yeah.
He's in 5th, LaPrade in 7th. This could change things up here. Probably won't be enough to make a full change, but it probably will close the gap for the 24.
Never know, something else could happen here that take either one of them out. So they're never really safe, but we are at 4 laps to go now. Tescar Jr., your leader, Nick Gunther right there, as well as Zach Armstrong.
Again, some more contact up that way. Ooh, Korioth in trouble. Dives down.
It's got help behind them, but again, it's not going to be enough as of right now. They're going to need to way outnumber that outside if they want a chance because of how strong it is. 3 laps to go.
Huge opportunity for Cale Tesker Jr., if I recall correctly, will be his first career win in Essex, and then for Nick Gunther, it will be about 9 months in the making from August of last year.
Tescar Jr. got his first win in OSCC just a few weeks ago at Michigan of the finale. 70-lap race at Michigan. Took the win in a fuel-saving masterclass. And now he's looking to get his first win in a different league, Eastern State Stock Car Series. Almost had it that time.
And now you've got a 5-mile mad dash to the finish. 2 laps, 5 miles. Anything can happen here in the next 8 turns until the checkered flag.
Got that right. We'll see if anybody makes a move. Is anyone bold enough to try something, or do they want to just stick where they are? That's the risk that goes with it. If you make a move and no one goes with you, you're falling all the way back to 15th, out of luck. Or you could sit where you are, finish second, finish third.
69's got to push. 69's got to push on the inside. He's got Merkel.
Here they come to the white flag. 1 lap to go here for the Beach Bash 150.
They're going to probably bash at the line. Here's the move. Here's the move.
Gunther to the inside. Tescar, no help on that outside.
Korioth, 8 positions in 5 miles.
Big blocks.
More bump.
Door banging. Tescar still on that outside. He's still there. He's still got a shot here. 3, 4 cars on that outside versus 3 on the inside. Drag racing back to the checkered flag. Nick Gunther out in front.
Good. He might have it though.
Gunther coming back to the checkered. He's going to win the Beach Bash 150 at Daytona. And a huge crash in the back. Gunther finally gets another win, and he does it in great fashion over Cale Tescar Jr.
That's a heartbreaker for the 26. Would have been his first win in his career. Good news, though, for Dunn LaPrade. He finishes 7th, and Jack Merkel, believe, was somewhere in the back pack that time. I have to find his finishing position. He finished, no, I hit the wrong button. Okay, 6th. So actually, I apologize. It's good news for Merkel. He's 1 position ahead. Although it shouldn't change much in the grand scheme of things, it gets him just an inch closer.
And if he wins the championship by 2 points, then we'll know what race to look back at and say, that's the race that won him the championship. Celebratory bumps from Ike Rivera and Jared Gravois to the 55. Again, heartbreak for the 26 of Tescar. He ended up half a tenth. I can't even speak properly. Half a tenth behind the 55 at the line. Braden Korioth rounded out the podium. Then it was Zach Armstrong and Connor Spradling for your top 5. Like Dan said, Jack Merkel, Dunn LaPrade, Jarrett Gravois, Winston Wolf, and then Sebastian Amaya to round out the top 10. Amaya, after being involved in a couple wrecks, rebounds to 10th. Good from him. Other notable names rebounding from wrecks. The 66 Freezing Rodriguez finished 12th. The 47 of Cole Mather finished 15th. And I believe that was it for Cameron Jameson, and the 31 also came back and finished 14th.
And, you know, honestly, admirable effort here from the Essex field as a whole. 29 cars entered and 22 finished the race all on the lead lap. Can't be mad at that. I've seen fields with much more DNFs. These guys played a very valiant effort today.
For sure. Especially it being a 64 lap race, a little bit longer than usual. So maybe had a couple DNFs more than some leagues typically see. But great racing up front.
Burning it down.
Yeah. Great racing up front and a great pass by Gunther late to get back by Teskar and take the win. Gravois going to celebrate with him as Gunther is a new addition to his team. So burning it down in unison.
And excuse my ignorance, Mr. Salos, what team would that be?
That
Because
is, I think
we've got
so.
the team
I
points
believe
right
that's
now. Kona 2 up by 200.
yeah, I believe that's Gravois. Sorry, I always say Gravois. Gravois Motorsports. I'm 99% sure he
Yeah, that
was
would be
a
big for them because they're in fifth right now. They are 12 behind Shezden. So the top five: Kona 2, Mid, Soda City, Shezden, and Gravois. And then WTR is in sixth, about 200 points behind the five spot. So that'll be big there if Kona 2, or excuse me, if Gravois can pass Shezden, because there is a huge gap between third and fourth. If they can settle for fourth here in the midway break, that will be great.
definitely, and we'll see if we can get anyone for a post race interview real quick.
Possibly Gunther.
Yeah, there you go. There he is.
Nick Gunther, Dan Wilkins up here in the Pasta Boy booth. You got a copy?
How you doing, Dan? I'm doing pretty good.
I would imagine you would be. Great move there on the last lap. Congratulations on your win, by the way. I know it's never easy to win at Daytona, but this was a gauntlet. A lot of short green flag runs. Didn't have any green flag stops, and it all ended with a fun finish there at the end. How'd you feel out there?
Oh, I thought the outside line was just going to be the dominant lane all day long, and it really was. But I did happen to notice like people can get like a huge amount of run on the inside of the corner if you can just time it perfectly. And I kind of learned that lesson the hard way when everyone was just like freight trading me on the one corner there.
Yeah, no, we were talking about that. Jonathan and I were talking about that up in the booth during a race. Was that the top line consistently was about 3 or 4 miles per hour faster than the low lane, and then out of nowhere, the inside lane just found a second life with Korioth and Spradling and all of those guys. I think as soon as they found enough cars to support the inside lane, it became good. But run me through that last lap because you're going into the white flag lap in the second spot. Tesker is maybe half a car length in front of you, and then you see the opening in the bottom, and you barely get in front of Braden Korioth in time, and then you take the lead by the time you're midway through turn two. Run me through that lap for me.
All right, so I kind of knew like the inside line was coming, so I had to time that move perfectly because I already knew like I need to make sure I get ahead of the 26 before the end of the corner. And mission was kind of successful. I'm kind of like watching the last lap back right now on my POV there. I had to go make sure I blocked the top, and thank goodness the 26 got blocked by Braden there a little bit too because that would made that whole thing work was possible there. It was really good with that there. I was able to hold on, hit down the inside. Coming off of four now, I'm at that point in the replay where I just had to go protect the middle just a little bit, just barely not give him enough room, and managed to push me to the end there, and we just ended up winning right there. So it was just a very aggressive like move into turn one. That's what helped me get the win.
Well, the last 9 laps were one where you restarted in front, had a big lead over Tesker, and then by the first lap, or excuse me, by the second lap of that final green flag run, you had surrendered the lead to Tesker and had gotten as low as fourth. But then you came back, and for those last couple of laps, the single file line was just reigning supreme. There really wasn't any other competition, but you guys held a very conservative approach. We were talking about with Jonathan, 29 cars entered, 22 cars ended up finishing the race on the lead lap. It seemed like your competitors out there, with the exception of a few, actually held their own today, and it seemed like you could draft really well. How confident did you feel drafting around your competitors?
It's just mutual respect within everyone in the community. I mean, I was originally not a good guy in the community. I would say like many moons ago, but it just built up over time, like respect that you have around your competitors. I mean, a lot of people really wanted to congratulate me the entirety of that race at the very end as well. A lot of people like loved to like work with me or whatnot as well. It's just you have to just be patient with people or whatever, and especially with like these types of tracks. I mean, even if it's like as even of a track you could get as like Daytona or Talladega, you still have to have like there's a bit of a skill gap in there too. Like you're still going to see sometimes like more experienced guys like somehow end up in the very front, and some of the lesser experienced guys may end up in the pretty far back. It's also a bit of a luck based thing, a little bit too, with the pit cycle there, because we were able to get ourselves in the right perfect spot there at the very end just to have a chance at winning these things.
Yeah, how good to the green were you on that last run? Because we honestly weren't sure. I think it was a 9-lap run to the finish.
I think I was about like 4 or 5 laps to the good, because we took the plan of the final stop was to take 1 can of gas and the left sides only. I did a 2 tire stop on the right sides, the stop before that, because I knew it was going to take me longer. So I'm thinking I just might as well set myself up for the final stop and just take less, because for some reason the left side tires just wear out so quickly, and that's really abnormal for a track like Daytona. So I just want to make sure the car just doesn't push up on the very bottom, because that's the reason why I think the bottom lane kind of just like not as good on the top side anyway tonight. So it's just, yeah.
No, I get it, Nick. It's been a wild race. It's been a late night. One last question for you. This has been a weird season in Essex. This is the 7th race. You are only the 3rd driver to win. Dunn LaPrade, who finished 7th, has won 4 times at Vermont, Thompson, Rockingham, and Atlanta. And then Jack Merkel has picked up 2 wins, the season opener at Michigan, and then race 4 at Barber. Your last win here, correct me if I'm wrong, was August 30th at Detroit Belle Isle in season 2, race 12. It's been a while. Now you're back in victory lane. Your closing thoughts.
Yeah, don't remind me about Rockingham though, because I kind of threw that race away. So I'd rather not be reminded of that anyway, where the rear tires just gave up on me.
Well, it's all smoke and mirrors now, right?
Yeah, it's all smoke and mirrors now. This is how I want to go. I mean, I used to run this league full time back when it was called Kart, and I ended up winning the championship in that one too. But here and there, I just want to run like part time, because I usually like play games with like my own little friend group as well over there. I mean, like sometimes I want to do a part time schedule like here and there, because I know these guys are really cool. Honestly, I think like 95% of the people here are really cool. So it's a great league to race in. I just wish it wasn't like 11:30 at night on a Friday.
Yeah,
Like maybe like Saturday,
a.m.
maybe.
It's 1:30 a.m. over here. It's a little bit unforgiving.
Oh,
Jonathan,
I know.
you're our leader for tonight. Any questions for our winner, Nick Gunther?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have any questions. Just I'm really impressed with that move you made and the close blocking. I mean, I thought we were gonna see a wreck on the last lap, but props to you and everybody else for keeping it clean. But regardless, you made a great move. You were up front all day, avoided the wreck with the 47 and 66. But yeah, great win to you. I mean, you did everything you needed to, executed well, and took that win. Well deserved.
Thank you. And I just want to, I'm not sure if you guys like do the whole like thank you guys for your sponsors thing. Do you guys do that or no?
Typically not, but go
All
right
right,
ahead if you want to.
I'll just do it. First off, I just want to apologize to the 47 and 6, and I think that was the 66. I was like, I didn't really have your card. I'm sorry at the time. I didn't get to see what your car looked like. I'm sorry that incident took place. I just saw the 47 like warp out, and I think I just ended up running over to 66 by accident there. So hopefully they don't penalize me for that. I mean, I understand if they do. It was just like a whole like warp out thing. I just had no time to react. I also want to go thank REMA Recycled Materials Association, because as a depressed Matty D fan, I just hope to have one day have him like win an actual race or so. I love Matty D, so that's why you see me run like Matt Benedetto cars mostly every now and then. I also got to thank Jarrett for being a good for signing me for the season. I know he's got 2 great drivers, and myself and Jack, and I also got Ryan Sievers in there as well. He's also really good, so he has a pretty stacked lineup here for this season anyway. Of course, got thank just everyone else for just having a good, clean race, especially like just treat me with a whole bunch of respect, just racing me hard, but also cleanly there. They all did a pretty good job tonight.
I believe that's all we have for you. Thank you again for taking the time to join us, and congrats on the win. Great win there, man.
All right, thank you guys.
All right, have a good night, Nick.
Have a good night.
See if we can get one more interview in if Dale Tescar Jr. is willing, our 2nd place finisher. See if we can get him in here.
Didn't think of him. I was ready to sign off for the night, but let's keep going.
See if we can get a short one in here. Just have a question for him about the that last lap.
see if we can page Tesker here. For you tonight all around. I'm going to give the floor to Jonathan after my first question. I think that this has been an interesting season for Essex. You've been pretty involved in the center of it. This is just a third winner in 7 races. LaPrat has won 4 times. Merkel has won twice, and now Nick Gunther takes victory lane. You were mostly not a spectator, but you were pretty observant to what was happening at the front of the field in those last 5 laps. How did you feel during that last time when the inside lane finally started to have some life to it?
Oh, and apologies, folks. I had
My head
him muted on my end.
because I had my teammate Connor. He was about 3 cars back, and then there was Winty. I was trying to work with Winty as well, and I was getting information that they wanted to go, and they kept trying to make the inside work. And I didn't think I was ever in a spot to really help them because whenever that outside lane got the run that it had, it was so strong, and you just got absolutely trained past. And I just didn't think we'd be able to get it work. And then finally, I was able to clip. I was able to barely hold the apron in 3 and 4, one set of corners, and I got a huge run, and I gained like 3 positions. And that's when I caught up to Kale, and then the whole thing on the backstretch happened whenever Nick dived to the inside, and then went back up to the 26. It was crazy. I don't know how he made it work.
We were just talking to Nick about it. It was timed perfectly. We talked about when Cole Mather spun to bring out the caution. He had clipped out for 6 frames, which is 0.2 of a second in the video game world, if you're assuming 30 frames per second, and that is what made the difference. And then Gunther took the lead. He lost it, dropped down to 4th, and then came back, made that last lap move. Very impressive. Jonathan, got any tidbits for the 69 car, Braden Koryath?
No questions. I'm just well, actually I do have a question. How were you able to I mean, I know you were up front all day, but what kind of kept you in the running all day? I mean, obviously we saw the
Well,
top line was
see,
dominant, but
sometimes I've had many different experiences at plate tracks and NR. The package variations are so much more since it's a video game, of course. I mean, one race you're at Talladega going 230, then you'll be going 180 at Daytona one week. And so with this package, it was pretty tight. You couldn't really hold the bottom. The top was the way to go. The groove moved all the way up to the top in that first run. So
either way, you still finished great, ran well pretty much the whole race. So very impressive for you, and congrats on the finish. Great race that you put on, and we always appreciate you hosting as
I really appreciate that.
one of
But
the
of course, you can't forget about Connor. Connor
Yeah,
and
of
Crystal
course.
did a lot.
Oh yeah, but you as well, for much appreciated for what you do for this league, and putting on a great race for everyone watching the stream. To those watching the stream, you are much appreciated. Thank you for tuning in. That's going to be the last interview we have for tonight. But again, thank you, Braden, for your time. Congrats on the, I believe, what did you get a podium? Top 5?
Yeah, we got third there.
Podium, okay.
Best finish of the season.
Great. Congrats on that podium. And Dan, you got anything you want to say to sign off?
That'll be all from me tonight. Good finish there at the end with Gunther, Teskar, and Karayath getting the podium.
Isn't there a chance we're going to be back on Dan Wilkins broadcasting next week, maybe?
Next week, possibly. We'll have to check our schedule there for Darlington and Fontana when you guys come back from the break.
Either way, like I said, much appreciated to all of those who stuck around for the post-race interviews, all those to watch any part of the race. You are always appreciated, and hope to see you soon on another Pasta Boy 345 stream. This is Pasta, Jonathan Salos, and I was joined by Mr. Dan Wilkins. Appreciate y'all and hope to see you soon in the next one.